Hello and welcome to Artful Stampin', to my YouTube channel and blog. So today I'm going to be using the shimmer white paper, the beautiful floral frame stamp set, Memento ink and the Brushos. So to start off with, I inked up really well my stamp because I wanted a very good impression, so I made sure to take care with the inking up of it to get it all over that stamp before I push down quite firmly to make sure the impression was good. So I just changed the direction of the frame as I went along so that it would alternate as across the paper. So then I used the stamp with the 3 flowers just to fill in some of the almost like corner type spaces that were formed where the floral frame met each other. And the idea being just to extend that frame a little bit with some flowers. I then also used the stamp with the 2 flowers on it as well. This is a great set for colouring in, but sometimes I don't always want to sit and do very fussy colouring in, so this is a great alternative. Then there's a really pretty little leaf stamp which I had not noticed before, and I have to say I don't think I'd even got it out the packet, and I'm going to be using that again because it's such a sweet little leaf and a great filler for different spaces. So once I'd done the stamping, to make sure that the ink was really dry, I used my heat tool. Then I got my Brushos out, and I wanted the centre of the frames to be a bit lighter. So the lightest colour of the Brushos that we do is the yellow. So I just made sure that that was in the middle of all the frames. And then I wanted a bit of a kind of greeny outline. So I just did that across the top and across the bottom of the page. So I'm using an A4 piece of cardstock. That's the UK sizes that we do. I think in the States yours are about 8 by 11 or 8 by 11.5? So you could just use a similar size and it would work out fine. So here I am just putting a little bit of the orange. I wanted the flowers to be orangey red, and then I found that the red, I think the hole in the top of my brushes for the red is a little bit bigger, so it came out a bit more than I anticipated. So this is the magical moment where you just spritz the page with water, and the reason I choose shimmer white is because it's a bit more robust, a bit more of a robust cardstock, and the ink doesn't tend to soak in immediately. It likes to sort of pool a little bit on the top of it, which for this sort of technique is just fabulous. So I didn't pat any of this dry. Sometimes you can go in there with a tissue and pat it dry. The only thing about doing that is sometimes a lot of the colour gets lifted away. So I chose to just dry it this time. And sometimes it dries with sort of little pools of colour in different places, which for this was fine. It's good to experiment with the brushes and find out how you like to use them. And because the paper started to warp a bit, I just sort of flipped it over and heated it from the other side. Now I know you're watching a speeded up version of this, and the video is going to be less than 5 minutes long. This whole process I would say probably took about half an hour. So then I got my block and tapped some Brushos onto the block and gave that a spritz because now I want to use it as paint. So I got my aqua brush. I didn't put any water in the aqua brush, I just used it as a brush. And when I first started painting, I realised that the red was a little bit too dark, so I then just spritzed some more just to soften the red so it wasn't so dark. And then what I did was just picked out the flowers and very quickly managed to colour in or paint in those pretty flowers so that they actually stood, they were kind of a bit more obvious against the background then. And this is quite an enjoyable, relaxing process, as you don't have to be too precise. It's a kind of very washy, watercolory effect, so you don't have to be too exact. So then I just dried all that, and again flipped it over, as it likes to warp. And this time I cut the cardstock in a way that I could make some card fronts, because I've got the Stampin' Up convention is coming up and I need to make some swaps. So if you come along to the UK one, that you might get a swap off me, or you may have already got it if you're watching this video after the event. And at this point I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with them, and I filmed this film one day, and then the next day, or later on that evening, I decided what to do with them, and this is what I ended up doing. So I created some card fronts. I cut some white cardstock, A4 white cardstock into 4, and mounted the... Actually, no, I stamped first. I stamped just black flowers onto the sides, and then stuck those beautiful colourful pieces down afterwards, and then added the pearls. So there we go. Thank you for joining me today, and take care.